Hello people, welcome back. I'm Daniel, this is Nutrition, and today we need to talk about portions. Before we dive into today's topic on portions, let's check in. How are you all doing? I left you some homework, and I hope you've been applying the principles we discussed in the last couple of weeks. I want to hear from you, so drop your comments below. If you have any questions, comment below because more people probably need the same answers. And also share your progress because your journey will certainly inspire other people. Our focus is always on strategy and execution. We learn, decide what needs to be done, and focus on the actions and track the execution. After we discuss the theory, how to get things done, and most common pitfalls, I will give you our booklet that has the program for you to make your plan and track your actions for 12 weeks. It's the perfect structure for you. So why do we focus so much on execution? We focus on execution because there are a lot of people that spend a lifetime learning more and waiting for the perfect time to start a nutrition or a workout plan, either for weight loss, to have more energy, to stop feeling exhausted, or to improve health. And I meet a lot of those people. They talk to me, they talk to us here, and we give them the information, the resources, discuss the plans, the actions, the investment. And a lot of them say, yes, I understand. I know what I need. I can do it whenever I decide to do it, and I will do it. It's just not a good time right now. The most interesting fact about this situation is that a lot of them come back 6 months or 1 year later. And even though their circumstances haven't changed at all, they're ready to do it. Their salary, their work schedule, their family schedule, their bills, their address are all still the same, but suddenly they're ready to do it. Well, that means they could have done it 1 year ago, or maybe 5, or maybe even 10 years ago. But if you're watching this, I believe you are looking for a change that will make your life better. And we will get there. We will make that change happen if we start taking action. And if you haven't yet, today is the day for you to start based on what we talked about last week and based on what we are talking about today. So let's go. I'll give you the numbers. I'll show you how to portion your meals using just your hands as a reference. No need for scales or a measuring tape. So stick around because what I'm going to show you after all that is even more important. So first, let's take a look at the Canada Food Guide. This is a great reference for you. It's food-guide.canada.ca, and they have available a lot of good recipes and a lot of good tips on healthy eating. So this picture here may be a good reference for you. You can even save it and have it on your phone just as a reference, but half of your plate here is vegetables and fruits. So vegetables here we have broccoli, carrots, peas, green leaves or different color vegetables are perfect because they have different nutrients. 1/4 would be here whole grain foods, and they show bread. Whole grain bread is always better. Whole grain pasta is better, and preferably actual grains like quinoa or whole grain rice or beans or chickpeas. And another 1/4 of your plate is protein foods, which can be meats, beef, pork, chicken, fish. They're all good. Nuts and tofu and dairy and eggs. So you have lots of options here, and this is a perfect reference for you. Now here is another food guide from the United States, and if you look at the picture here, we have actually half of the plate is just separate. 1/4 fruits, 1/4 vegetables, but half of your plate is fruits and vegetables, just the same as the Canada Food Guide. 1/4 for grains, whole grains preferably, and another 1/4 of protein. They put here dairy on the top corner, and that could be a glass of milk. Now, if you like the numbers, I'm bringing you the numbers again here. This is from the National Academy of Sports Medicines, and carbohydrates, 45 to 65% of the total daily intake. Protein would be 10 to 35%, and fats, 20 to 35%. Oh, when you look at this and you know that certain foods contain fats and protein, like nuts contain fat and protein, some carbs contain carbs and protein. If you use that picture that we just talked about, you can make sense of all this information and have a proper distribution of carbs, protein, and fats. But how much you are going to eat in total depends on your daily calorie intake that's recommended according to your weight and according to your activity level. So that's what I want to show you right now. Now here is one of the guides that you get at Integral Wellness and that I'm offering to you. You just have to comment guide after you finish watching this video and we'll be in touch, and you can pick your digital copy or we can give you a physical copy if you come here. Now this is for approximately 2,000 calories daily. So it depends on your body weight, on your body composition, and your activity levels. That's why we do the free consultations, to be able to help you find your best option. But you can see the guide is here. So for protein, one portion of protein would be 1 palm size, and one portion of starch is 1 handful. So you have all the visual references here. And when it comes to every meal during the day, you have the number of portions that you need for each food group. And this way it gets super easy to make that perfect plate for your meals. Now, since I'm showing you this, I can give you a notion of all the documents, all the guides that Integral Wellness clients get, because when they subscribe for fitness here, it's not just a gym, and you don't just come here for exercise. You have a process to follow. You set your goals, and you understand what areas you need to work on, and from that point, you start guiding and you start tracking all your actions. And that's why we provide all those guides to make it super easy to follow and stay on track. We also have the food diary. Oh, it's a great way to make changes, is to actually write down what you're eating, understand your habits, your patterns, and then start making changes and tracking. Tracking is always super important. Okay, now you know the theory, so the next step is action, because all this knowledge you have just gained becomes useless if you don't do it, or if you're not all in. But your old habits will make it hard for you to follow this process. We know it's true. There will be cravings, social pressure, and all the barriers in the way. And we will discuss all that in the next sessions. For now, by planning ahead, we can overcome some of those challenges right away. And here are people's main challenges. Number one is snacking late after supper. Most people have the habit of having food around 5 or 6 p.m. and that is considered a good time to have a proper meal. But then later on you're hungry around 9 or 10, and that is the time to have a snack. And that snack is usually chips or any other sweets, and sometimes with beer or wine, and to make it even worse, watching TV. So you're distracted when you're eating, and the best way to eat is eating with mindfulness. So it's a bad habit that we have to overcome, and the best way to overcome this is by planning ahead and have that snack for later, because you know you're going to be hungry. So have that snack ready to eat by preparing it when you're not hungry. So maybe right after supper. Number two, eating from the leftovers when you're putting food away. So you did a good job, you planned your supper, you cooked healthy food, you portioned your plate perfectly using the techniques we talked about. And then later after supper, you have to clean up and put food away in containers, and you start picking from that amazing food that you cooked. You can't resist. You may end up eating twice as much as you had for supper just by doing that. So again, the best way to overcome that is first being aware that those things happen, and then planning ahead. And maybe you can do that before you eat. Put everything away before you eat, and then just bring your plate to the table with the perfect portion. Number three, eating dessert impulsively because of your old habits, because we are all addicted to sugar, or a little bit addicted to sugar, and we just have an instinct after eating a meal that something is missing. And well, if you have the sweets around the house, and if that food is visible and available, ready to grab, you're going to end up, you start eating dessert. And that's when your judgment will change, because once you start eating sugar, well, you'll probably end up eating more and more and more sugar. So again, best way for that, be aware that that's going to happen, and well, only have good desserts, good foods that you can have as a dessert that will satisfy you, starting with fruits and maybe a little bit of sweets, and the rest of that food should be away, maybe in the basement or top shelf, something that is really hard to reach. and that will make you think about before you do it. That it really changes everything if you do that. Number 4, using a large plate. That's super simple, super easy to do. You probably have more than one size of a plate at home, and let's say something like it's like this. When you open your hand, is enough for you when you think about the way that we portion food here. A palm size for protein, or a handful for starches, a little bit of fat. Here, a fist size for fruit. For dairy, another fist size. Think of this circle here around your hand. It will be enough to have all of that. If you have large, and we see very large plates available, if that's what you have at home, simply change that, get a smaller one, and it's that simple. It's that simple. It will help you a lot if you do that. Number 5 is thinking that there is a specific type of food for each time of the day. Let's say there are certain foods that are only for breakfast, certain foods only good for lunch, and certain foods only good for supper. Yeah, we have those habits. I used to have those habits. So breakfast for me, when I was a kid, it was something light, but always involving sweet. So usually coffee with sugar, and bread with jam, or milk, chocolate milk that had sugar in it, or yogurt that is also sweetened. We can replace all that. There's really easy ways to replace all that if you're doing it. That's coming in the next few sessions. Okay, but remember that we talked about proteins, carbs, and fats, the macros. The macros are the foods that you should have in every single meal. You should have that balanced meal, and anything is good. Any carbs, fats, and protein are good for any time of the day. You may have your preferences, and you're going to respect your preferences, but they're all good. And if you think that the food that you have for supper, if it's balanced, it's also good for breakfast. If you feel like eating that, there is no problem. It's actually, if it's balanced food, it's going to be better for you to eat that food than the switching to whatever typical breakfast foods that you had before, like cereal, for example. That's usually sweet, and we tend to overeat that kind of food. Number 6 is buying processed food that promotes overeating, and you will buy more of that type of food if you are going shopping for groceries when you're hungry. So that's another one that may not be so easy to prevent, because sometimes you have a certain time that you're available to go shopping. But if you can, or even if you have a snack before you go get groceries, do it, because you're going to make much better decisions if you are not hungry when you go grocery shopping. You can choose the best aisles of the supermarket to go through, and you avoid certain areas of the supermarket. We're going to talk about this as well in the next few sessions. For now, you have to be aware that you can prevent a lot of things simply by not buying certain foods, or if you need to have them at home because other people at home will eat it, you try to keep them away, hide them in the back of the cabinet, on the top shelf, or in the basement, so you don't even think about having them. Or even if you think about them, but they're far away, decreases the chances that you will actually go get them and eat them. And if you actually do, you are being mindful about it. So it will slowly changing your habits, changing your mindset about food. Now, what most people don't realize is that when it comes to fitness and nutrition, the most important work can be done not when you're cooking, not when you're eating, not when you are exercise. The most important work is on the strategies to make sure that you are going to cook healthy food, to make sure that you prevent relapses, and to make sure that the workout you wanted to do, that workout session actually happens. Because there are times during your days when you're feeling great, you're feeling full of good intentions, you're feeling motivated, and this is your window of opportunity. Your mind is clear. But if you already ate on that day, if you already worked out earlier on that day, what can you do then? That's when you use that mental clarity to put that junk food away, put that junk food out of sight, or to go buy or prep some healthy food, to have a small snack so you're not starving later on, to make sure you're prepared to go to bed and go to sleep and sleep enough. Because 2 or 3 hours later, when it's time to eat and you let the cravings take over, it's too late. You missed that window. The moment you put sugar in your mouth, your judgment changes and you're not in control anymore. Tomorrow morning, when you're supposed to get up earlier to work out, but you are exhausted because you didn't sleep enough, or you didn't sleep well, well, it's too late. You missed another chance to do something important. If you don't prepare for it, it's natural that you won't make the best decisions. It's hard to fight those instincts. So stick to your plan, anticipate, and don't improvise. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you next time.